Hard to believe it's already week number 5 of the college football season. Where did the first month go? Hi, everyone. Al DeMarco here, General Manager, DeMarcoSports.com, and I have 3 more complimentary selections for you. Chief among them, 2 teams coming off the loss in the Big 12, Oklahoma State, Kansas State. That is going to be what I like to call the best of the worst. And remember, I have won 3 of my last 4 top complimentary plays here. It was Washington last Saturday. So those complimentary plays, the others being Mississippi in its SEC opener, hosting Kentucky, and Colorado off the big win against Baylor on the road against Central Florida. And I'm going to talk about 3 other games on top of that as well. Those are all coming up in just a moment. Hey, I would be remiss if I didn't point out that Rick Torino, a guy that you should know from when I used to do the show with him a couple seasons back, this guy happens to be the winningest handicapper at the site dating back to the start of last football season, making $10 bettors $13,870. That's wins minus losses minus the VIG. And why I want to just quickly point this out is that if you happen to be watching this report on Friday, and it also may have relevance for Saturday, and I'll tell you why, tonight, meaning Friday, he has the 25th ever 100 dime all-in college max wager of his career. And that goes back to when he joined the site at the beginning of 2 college football seasons ago. He is 19-5 lifetime with these plays. And this is the first one this season. It's on your game between Washington and Rutgers. And it's available for over half price off by using the coupon that's on the homepage over at DeMarcoSports.com. FYI, he is 31-13 lifetime with NFL and college football, all in max wager plays, 12-3 with his last 15 combined, 7-1 in college last year. First one goes tonight. He's had only 1 in football this season. It was in the NFL. It was the Chiefs over the Ravens on opening night. And again, it's available tonight. Now, FYI, if he wins tonight, I know that he's going to have another one tomorrow, and it will also be available for over half price off over at DeMarcoSports.com. I don't know what the matchup will be, but again, it's all predicated on if he wins tonight. So if you happen to be watching this on Saturday, check out DeMarcoSports.com, and you will see all the information about that. So with that being said, let's get to the complimentary plays. And let's talk about this game between Kansas State and Oklahoma State, which kicks off at noon Eastern time. Kansas State got bushwhacked at BYU last week, but it was a competitive game until BYU scored 28 unanswered points in a 5-minute stretch, courtesy of 3 turnovers by the Wildcats and a 90-yard punt return. I mean, if you were watching that game and you had money on Kansas State, it was nightmarish for that 5-minute period. If you looked at the box score and you didn't know what the final score was, you would have said, oh my God, Kansas State had a great game in there because they dominated on paper. They ran for 228 yards, averaged 5.3 yards per carry. They were 8 for 17 on third down. Hell, BYU was only 3 for 9 on third down. They had time of possession of over 33 minutes, but 3 turnovers, the special team failure, and 8 penalties for 50 yards, that did them in. Now, Oklahoma State also lost last week. You know, I talked about them last week on the video report, and I leaned toward them a little at home against Utah. Oh, Cam Rising didn't even play, and they still lost that game. Now, it was a 22-19 final, but really it wasn't that close. They were down 22-3 in the fourth quarter. And Alan Bowman, their veteran starting quarterback, was actually pulled by Mike Gundy in the first half because he was ineffective. Came back in the fourth quarter, led them with a couple of touchdown passes to make it close. But really, again, it was not a competitive game. And the key takeaway from Oklahoma State's loss was the performance of Utah's running back, Micah Bernard, who ran for a career-high 182 yards. Well, guys, what Kansas State does best is run the damn ball. They are number 15 nationally in rushing, averaging 261 yards a game, 6.7 yards per carry. DJ Giddens is one of a couple of very talented backs they have. He's their lead back, 417 yards, 6.1 yards per carry. Their quarterback, Avery Johnson, remember, he's young. He's only making his 6th start, but he can run the ball as well. But he's also a decent passer, 61% completions, 620 yards, 6 touchdowns already. This offense is much better and more confident playing in Manhattan. Now, the home team has won 6 straight in the series and covered 5 of 6. Last time Oklahoma State traveled to Manhattan, they got their asses kicked. And remember, Kansas State is 12-2 against the spread. Their last 14 in conference play at home. And the other factor you must consider here is what Bowman's confidence level will be after being benched and then reinserted, and the fact that Oklahoma State's offense has been very one-dimensional because Ollie Gordon II, their running back, who was the Doak Walker Award winner a year ago, when he ran for over 1,700 yards and scored, I think, 21 or 22 touchdowns on the ground, he's been missing in action now. The last 3 games, he's had 17, 17, and 11 carries, and he's only produced 49, 41, and 42 yards. Again, this guy ran for over 1,700 yards a year ago. And today, meaning Saturday, he's going to be facing a Kansas State defense that, when it comes to stopping the run, they're one of the tops in the nation. They're yielding just 2.8 yards per carry and 83 yards on the ground. So Kansas State was a 4.5-point favorite most of the week. As of Friday morning, they're up to 5. It doesn't matter. I think they're going to win this game handily at home. I think they could win this one by 10 to 14 points. So again, they won 48-0 the last time Oklahoma State visited back in 2022. I don't think it's going to be that type of blowout. But again, this is my second favorite play on the board, and I like them big. Last week, my best bet was Tennessee, and my favorite play here on the video report was Washington to rebound from the Apple Cup loss to beat Northwestern. The Huskies delivered. This time, I'm going with the Wildcats. I also like Ole Miss. This is a game which the Rebels were a 17.5-point favorite most of the week. It dropped to 15.5 on Thursday, and it's that way Friday morning. It's homecoming for Ole Miss. It's their SEC opener, as I noted. They're off to a 4-0 start. They've played nobody. I mean, home games against Furman, Middle Tennessee State, and Georgia Southern. A road game against Wake Forest. I mean, they've scored 76, 52, 40, and 52 points so far. Again, you play 4 cupcakes, that's what happened. Remember, though, Lane Kiffin's team only lost 2 games last year, at Alabama and at Georgia. Nothing to be ashamed about there, right? They've won those games. Actually, listen, their average margin of victory this season is the 3rd biggest in FBS, behind only Ohio State and Texas, as they've won those games by an average of 40.7 points. They're only giving up 22 points a game. But again, they've only played cupcakes. Third down defense are number 5 in football, holding opponents to about a 22% conversion rate. Number 1 pass offense right now. Their quarterback, Jackson Dart, nearly an 80% completion mark, 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns. Offensive line's giving them great protection, only 5 sacks allowed. That offensive line is also opening the holes, too, for Henry Parrish Jr., who's averaging 7.5 yards per carry and already scored 7 times. In fact, the Ole Miss ground game is averaging 248 yards, 6.2 yards per carry, number 12 in the nation. Now, Kentucky's 0-2 in SEC play, got smoked by South Carolina in their first game at home, then played Georgia very strong, 13-12 loss, but they always seem to play Georgia strong, at least in my eyes. Mark Stoops, very interesting stat I read, that Mark Stoops, during his career in Lexington, against SEC teams that finished the season with winning records, 2-29 straight up, 10, 19, and 2 against the spread. Yeah, you can beat the losers, but you can't beat the upper echelon teams. So, and he's 0-3 lifetime against Ole Miss. And beating Southern Mississippi and beating Ohio by double-digit blowout margins really don't impress me much, to quote Shania Twain, that noted football prognosticator. So I'm going to go again with Ole Miss, and I have no qualms about laying the points. I also have no qualms about laying the points with Central Florida against Colorado. The Knights are 14 points at home against Primetime's crew, playing at the Bounce House, where they're 18-4 straight up since Gus Malzahn came on. Here's something, and I think you should look at the game this way. Central Florida, coming off a bye and a week removed from that huge emotional comeback win, 35-34, when they rallied from a double-digit deficit to win in Fort Worth against TCU. Colorado is just fresh off that Hail Mary fueled overtime win against Baylor at home and had their whole travel routine disrupted because of the hurricane. Instead of traveling to Orlando on Thursday, they had to leave a day early, traveled to Orlando because of the weather on Wednesday. So their practice routine, everything's disrupted. The worst thing you want in sports is to have your routine disrupted. And you're in a prime letdown situation because of the way you won your last game. Central Florida's coming off that type of win too, but you've had an extra bye week. I think that Colorado has no chance to stop a Central Florida team that is number one in football in terms of running the ball 376 yards a game, more than Army guys, 6.8 yards per carry. They've got three different running backs, plus a quarterback in KJ Jefferson, who used to be at Arkansas, that can just beat the hell out of you on the ground. They've got a good front, defensive front too. Not a good defense, but a good front that can put pressure on opposing quarterbacks. And need I remind you that Colorado's offensive line sucks? 16 sacks already yielded, 8 to Baylor last week. So Colorado's already lost 28-10 at Nebraska. They can lose by 18 easily here, but I think it's going to be bigger. I think Central Florida has a chance to run up the score here. If this could be like a 42-20 final, I think Colorado's going to roll over and play dead, and I think Central Florida is going to kick their ass. Now, I handicap some other games, so let me just talk about them. Um, these aren't like official free plays, but let me just throw them out here in case you happen to handicap them. Liberty, a 3.5-point favorite at Appalachian State. Everybody says App State has to win this game, right? Well, I mean, a lot of teams have to win games. The Cincinnati Bengals had to win on Monday night. Did they win? No. I mean, just because you have to win doesn't mean you will win. It just doesn't work that way. If that was the way in gambling, hell, we all be multi-billionaires, right? App State's off that 48-14 home loss to South Alabama. Jaguars ran for 320 yards and 5 touchdowns, averaged 7.4 yards per carry. Okay, they've had a couple extra days to prepare because that was a Thursday night game. What did they revamp their entire run defense in that space? How the hell do you let an opponent come into Boone, North Carolina, and just run through your defense like that, right? I mean, Liberty's 4-0. Remember, this is a team that had an undefeated regular season last year. Their only loss was to Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl. Nothing to be embarrassed by there. This is a team that can run the ball very effectively. Remember, Quentin Cooley, 1,400 yards rushing last year. Billy Lucas, nearly 600 yards rushing last year. Their quarterback, Caden Salter, not only threw for almost 2,900 yards and 32 touchdowns last year, but also ran for 949 yards and 7 touchdowns last year. Now, that trio has gotten off to a somewhat sluggish start this year, but I think Liberty's going to try to run the hell out of the ball on App State. So they're a 3.5-point favorite. I don't know. I kind of like Liberty. Go with the Flames and buy down the half point. USC is a 15.5-point favorite at home against Wisconsin. Wisconsin's coming off the bye. Before that, they got their asses kicked at home by Alabama. They lost their starting quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke, in that game. I wasn't impressed with the guy who started most of their games last year when they lost their quarterback. I'm certainly not impressed here, and I don't think Luke Fickell really has a good team. USC shoulda, coulda, didn't beat Michigan in Ann Arbor last week. Shot themselves in the foot. But I think USC has the potential to cover that 15.5-point number more than Wisconsin has the potential to stay within that 15.5-point number. And I think the potential is there for the Trojans to bounce back with the big time win. And then you got UNLV and Fresno. Early in the week, I would have taken UNLV, but then their quarterback got smart. You ain't paying me, I'm not playing for you. And of course, a couple days later, how many millions of dollars did UNLV agree to stay in the Mountain West Conference? Was it 12 or 25? I can't remember. But you can't make good on a reported $100,000 to your starting quarterback. Yeah, college athletics, not corrupt at all. No. Fresno, I think right now I'd have to back Fresno because I don't know if you or me or somebody else, one of your friends or neighbors is quarterbacking UNLV. I don't know how you back them. I don't know how UNLV is still a 1.5 point favorite in this game. I really don't. So just some thoughts about some other games. But your official complimentary plays, again, Kansas State, Old Miss, and Colorado. So that'll do it for your Saturday report. May I also remind you that if you'd like Rick Torino's big play Friday night, if you're watching this video, or if he has another one on Saturday, you pick the days. You can get all the plays of all the handicappers for free because for the last 14 and a half minutes, you've seen it here at the bottom of the page. You can get all the plays of all the handicappers for free, no strings attached, using the All Access Pass free trial. If you've never taken advantage of it before, why not? It's free. Free means free. I don't know how more specific I can be about that, but you get it for free. It's my way of letting you sample all the handicappers' plays, all their analysis for free with no strings attached, and you pick the days. So if you want Friday and Sunday, Saturday and Sunday, Sunday and next Thursday for some godforsaken reason, the choice is yours. So check it out, free all-day access pass for 2 days over at DeMarcosports.com. Good luck, everybody, and we'll talk to you again soon.